Hello, this is Tony Agostinelli, and we have a very special show. I'm looking at an array of great musicians in front of me, and we're all here to celebrate the life of Mike Renzi.
Sesame Street is my main job. I have to, music director, so I have to write songs, write cues, look at film pieces, do a whole bunch of stuff, run the band sessions. I follow out some of the songs, to some great writers we have. But I'm basically the director, and I decide what's going on. I work closely with the executive producer. That's my job. I love it. It's great.
Some of you may not know Mike, but he's a Rhode Island native. He got his reputation in music by being the former director of Sesame Street. He died September 28th in Newport Hospital after a brief illness. Composer, arranger, pianist, jazz musician, teacher. I don't know if even you who are sitting here in this array know that he won 16 Emmys. Now that's a fantastic thing. By the way, he also did the music for All My Children. He won 7 Emmys for that show. He was 80. He was the arranger and composer to many vocalists, including Peggy Lee, Mel Torme, Lena Horne, Jack Jones, Liza Minnelli, Maureen McGovern, and Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett sent him home to get well. And just after he did that, Tony Bennett left the scene so he would go home because he was on the verge of Alzheimer's. 2 great men in the American Songbook, and he also won an special award for, how would I say it, for really hosting all of the American Songbook as he did. And I have with me a whole bunch of great musicians, which I will not introduce every one of them, but I'll start with Dick Lupino. Dick, tell me about your life with Mike Renzi.
Well, we go back a long way. We're both from the same neighborhood in Providence, Federal Hill. And his parents shopped at, my mother had a store on Atwells Avenue, and his parents shopped at my mother's store. They were virtually in there every week, buying sheets and towels and that sort of thing, for the house. And they became good friends of my parents, and it became a social thing as well as a buying expedition. And Mike's grandfather had a hardware store directly across the street from my mother's store. So there was a lot of connections there. And although our ages were a bit different, and I didn't really get to play with him at that time, we knew one another very well. And then as years went by, then we started playing together a lot.
Now, where or when did you start playing? Just general business around, or did you play in a specific club?
As a teenager, I started playing, doing general business gigs for people like Ralph Stewart, and then I went to New England Conservatory and did work in Boston and so forth. Then went in the Army Band and did that for 3 years, and then came back and did club work and so forth.
Okay. If I had to ask you how Mike really affected your musicianship and your playing, could you answer that?
I don't know. I don't know that I could actually really. I mean, just working with Mike, one was in awe of his abilities, and as a vocalist, there was nobody better for accompaniment. He knew where you were going, what you were doing. It was truly an amazing situation to sing with him as well as play. And when you played, you tried your best, because he wouldn't settle for any less than that.
Rick, I'm going to put you on the spot. And the spot is, how does a drummer, who some believe just keeps the beat, how does a drummer like yourself know where Mike is going when he's playing?
Well, I had known Mike, not playing professionally with him, at say maybe 13, 14 years ago when I first met him, but I had heard him in different venues, probably at Sardella's most of the time. So I got very familiar with his style, and I loved his playing, needless to say, and I introduced myself, and so we became friends. But I guess I've been working with Dick now for 7 to 8 years at Greenville Vineyards, playing every Saturday, and most of the time with Mike. And it's all about listening. Whether you're a drummer or any other sideman playing any other instrument on the stand, it's all about listening and knowing how to make everyone sound better. And by the way, I might add that Mike elevated everyone's playing level. When you're playing with a living legend like that, it's do or die, in effect. But it was always fun playing with Mike. Once you got that respect from him, and you felt that too, just on a one-on-one level talking, not just playing, you got more comfortable. And but it's all about listening, and stylistically, his phrasing, his accompanying the vocalists, the introductions that he would play, I got not used to him per se, because it was always different every time we got together. You know, nothing is the same. But stylistically, I knew the essence of what he was doing, and I tried my best, like Dick said, to make things happen.
Okay. And yourself, Dennis.
Yes,
Now, you're a horn player.
I am.
You're a lead man.
Yeah,
You play the melody,
I do.
and you improvise.
Yes,
And Mike knew what you were doing?
absolutely. He knew everything that you were doing. He'd know if you played a note out of tune.
You knew that.
He had such great ears, and sometimes being on the business side of a saxophone, if you don't have a microphone, sometimes the sound will go out there and you're not as in touch with it as he would be out there. But he'd know immediately if you were playing a note in tune, and he'd just let you know in a certain way, saying, "I think you're a little sharp." Oh, all right.
How did he contribute to your musicianship?
Well, I didn't know Mike in the early times. Actually, I think I'm the only Massachusetts native here, right? Everybody else is Rhode Island people. I'm a Massachusetts guy. And so I didn't come on the scene. I'm about 7 years younger than he was. And by the time I came on the Providence scene, he had already left. And I heard all the things about him. I heard the legendary things that he was doing and everything, and they all talked about Mike Renzi, and I was wondering when I'd get to meet him. And I finally met him at one of the cavalcade of bands
Yes.
things. And he sounded just great, and he was a great guy to hang out with and talk to. And being a saxophone player, for some reason, about 10 or 12 years ago, I decided to take up the piano.
Okay.
And I've actually done a few gigs on piano, and I've had 3 lessons in my life, and 2 were with Mike Renzi.
Marvelous.
And he was very, very helpful. And I went over his house. He wouldn't take any money. He reluctantly took a bottle of wine that I brought him. And he was very, very helpful for me. I was sort of self-taught, and I was doing a lot of things wrong, and he was great, very gracious at helping me to move in the right direction.
Okay, Bill.
Yes,
Now
sir.
you moved from accordion to piano with Mike's help. Tell me about that.
Yes, I did. As an accordionist, I've been doing it over 45, 50 years. Mike, I was playing with a singer at the point we were doing the time, but I was playing accordion, but also keyboard. And Mike said to me, who's teaching you piano? I said, Mike, I'm teaching myself because the accordion is not so much call any longer. He said, give me a call. So I called Mike, and we got together, and I went to his house, and he brought me, was my inspiration to go from accordion to the piano. And there was just, the information was just so invaluable. Took his time. Again, like Ben, he wouldn't take anything, wouldn't take any money, invited me to his home, and we would spend 2 or 3 hours. He'd work me through exercises, the Hannon book, the Bach inventions, and he'd listen. He worked on my technique. So where I am today playing is all due to Mike Renzi, all of it.
Do you still use the 42-pound accordion?
Yes.
You do.
Yeah, I do occasionally. I love both instruments, but there's more call for the piano.
Yeah.
I met Mike first time in the 70s. I was at Sullivan's Steakhouse. We were common in this way. He worked for Billy Poor Orchestra when he first started at 13 because his uncle was in the band. And that was Mike was doing the society circuit. Well, when Mike left for the jazz, I was now becoming like 15, and I went to work for Billy Poor on the accordion, the society circuit. So the connection between that, and Mike would talk about that, he and I would talk about it quite a bit of the people that we worked with.
Okay. Tony, you were Mike's neighbor
Yes,
and a good friend.
and a good friend.
And can you tell me something from your own personal inner self about Mike and his relationship
Well,
with you?
Mike was the kind of a person who would say, can't do it.
It's all right. Why don't we move on to, when you're ready to do it, we'll move on to Dick Lupino. Dick, what do you think you should be asking your musician friends about Mike? How would you approach it if you were sitting right here?
I guess anecdotal stories, you know, I think we all have anecdotal stories about things that happen on a gig or off the gig or after the gig, and I think, you know, that's a good way to tell the story of our various relationships.
Do any of you have any stories about him playing at Allery's?
Well, I mean, you know, I saw him play there many times back in the '60s. Yeah, I was a kid, but I, you know, would go there, especially the Sunday afternoon sessions that they had with Art Pelosi and
Yep.
Dick Johnson, and those are really great.
Magnificent.
I mean, those guys, you know, they were all giants in their own right, and they would just get together and just do it up on a Sunday afternoon, and it was a great scene.
Anybody could walk in, pick up his axe, and do something.
Yeah.
And Mike would tolerate all of it.
Oh yeah. Well, some of the singers he had to put up with
Oh, I know.
weren't necessarily the best,
Yeah.
but he made them sound as best as they could.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think? You ready to say something?
I'm ready now.
All right. Tell me.
Well,
all.
Mike was my next door neighbor.
Yes.
I went to Allery's when I was young, but I don't remember specifically knowing him, but I knew Allery very well.
Sure.
And I heard that Mike Renzi had moved next door. I didn't know too much about him. And he invited me to a little gathering he was going to have. At first I wasn't going to go. I said, I don't know anybody there. I just didn't think I'd go. So the next thing you know, it was a Sunday afternoon. He stuck his head over the fence and says, hey, I invited you to a party. Get over here. And that just began a whole new life for me. I mean, I met people that I never would have met before, had a wonderful time, and although we were next door neighbors, he had his life, I had my life, but yet we did many, many things together. And certainly as a non-musician, I certainly had a wonderful time and certainly do miss him.
But you have been a music fan for a long time.
Oh, of course.
And you know the American Songbook.
I do.
And you enjoyed it all.
Of course I did,
But
yes.
especially if Mike was playing,
Yes.
I'll bet. Yeah.
No, it was very special.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
what can you remember off the top of your head that could celebrate Mike's genius?
Well, there's so much that you can. His giving, his genius, his playing, but he was a giving musician. We've had this conversation with Mike, and if a musician is good and comfortable in their own skin, they're willing to share anything with you. And we agreed on that because Mike was willing to share any musical idea, anything. I could call him on the phone and I'm saying I'm playing this particular song, and he'll say, yeah, but don't use that, use this chord. The other thing that was exceptional is not the respect. Everybody had the respect for Mike, but Mike had respect for every musician who worked with him. And I witnessed this on more than one occasion. If he was playing and he was backing up a vocalist or a horn player, and the audience was either talking loud, rude, he would actually confront the person and tell them, you know, that's respect for the people that he's working with. And I witnessed that on 2 occasions.
Okay. Dick,
Yes.
tell us something about the Lady Gaga incidents where he worked with Lady Gaga and or Tony Bennett.
Yeah, well, he was called to work with Tony Bennett, and they had already finished doing the album, which became Album of the Year and won all kinds of Grammys and stuff. And I think Tony asked him to re-record some of the songs. So I know the changes he uses on Lush Life that Lady Gaga did. Just amazing, and that was one of the things that he changed, and she sang with him on that, as well as the others. I'm not sure which ones, but yeah, he did. He re-recorded. I would say about half the album, I think.
He was magnificent. He would play 13-note chords.
Yeah.
And as if it were just simple, they would come out and they would get the lushness of
Right.
songs like that. He really knew what to do with a ballad. And I kept on saying, are you going to do 14-note chords now? You know, I mean, he just knew how to do that and get the full range behind the vocalist
Yeah.
or the full range behind the soloist. I was always amazed at that. Very few musicians can do that.
Yeah. And he was great about putting medleys together. And at first they'd be sort of off the top of his head, but then as you got to play them, they would settle in. He did a Duke Ellington medley. He did a Burt Bacharach medley. He did a Gershwin medley. And those became very popular every week. Oh, play the Gershwin medley. Oh, play that medley, you know. And people really responded to it because they were amazing, you know. He'd go from song to song and transition, change keys, and, you know. And we never wrote anything out. It was always, you know, I listened and followed his changes.
Magnificent.
Yes,
now,
he was.
I'm going to ask you a question. How are you going to continue at Greenvale and Sardillas?
Well, it's different. There are other fine pianists around,
Sure.
but the levels are a little different.
Okay.
And it you know, it's working. We can, you know, he didn't, the last time he played, I think, was the last Saturday in August. So he didn't play September, October, and the first couple in November. But and we're covering them. We have some. We still have some very good people.
All right,
that can cover.
who's working with you now on piano?
Greg Wardson,
Oh, yes.
Yvonne Monette,
Also good.
Kent Hewitt.
I don't know Kent.
Yeah, Kent Hewitt. Sometimes Steve Heck from Boston, one of the Berkeley professors. So we still have a few guys that can do it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I would hate to see those two venues be lost
no.
into the mist.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, don't forget, Mike just returned, what, in 2005 or 6 or something like
Yeah.
that. So,
A little later than that.
yeah, 7, yeah, thereabouts. So he was gone all that time. I mean, he'd blow in and out once in a while, but for the most part, he was in New York and not here at all. So we didn't have him all those years. But then once he came back, he said, oh, we want him all the time.
Okay.
And I think the people who came to Sardella's and Greenvale, they appreciated what he did, but I don't think they really had any idea. Had they gone to New York to see him, it would have cost them $100 just to sit down, and then, you know, so much minimum food and so much minimum, you know, it would be a $300 evening.
Yeah.
And they're getting to see him for nothing.
Yes.
You know, but I know they did appreciate it, but I just don't know that if they appreciated it at that level.
Uh-huh. Do any of you guys have anything to respond to venues that you would have had with Michael and that they have now dissipated and perhaps unreplaceable? Anyone?
Venues?
Dennis?
No, the one
Rick?
thing, it has nothing to do with that, but I would say the story for me that was made me feel the best about knowing Mike Renzi. I've done a number of gigs over the years with the Boston Pops and a few with the Boston Symphony. And I was out at Tanglewood, and Maureen McGovern was the act.
Yes.
And of the 10 charts that she had, 9 were Mike Renzi charts. And magnificent. And the one that comes to mind is Summertime, you know, on the tune Summertime. And it's really basically just one chorus of the tune, but it's the most magnificent sounding thing written for a symphony orchestra. It was just great. And in between the rehearsal and the thing, I went up to Maureen McGovern and told her I knew Mike, and she lit right up. She just thought it was the greatest thing. And she says, do you know what his phone number is? I said, yeah, I got it right. She said, can you call him? So I called him up, and they talked on my phone probably. I don't know how many minutes it was.
If they say upgrade your phone, forget about it.
That's right.
Right. So let me start off with Tony. Do you have any last comments, so to speak?
No, I just want to say, as a neighbor, I'm certainly not a musician, Mike was wonderful to everybody. Anybody that he met, he made them feel comfortable, and everybody wanted to go and see and hear him, and he that's just the way he was. He was a very special person with a very special personality, and I'm very happy that I live next door to him. And certainly, he'll be missed.
He will be missed. Bill?
Yeah, Mike and I used to go to dinner. Probably once a month we would meet, and we would enjoy our martinis. And one night I was home cooking, and I was going to make myself a martini. And I didn't have any olives, so I decided to put in pepperoncini instead. So I sent it over to Mike. I said, Mike, I ran out with this. He said, you got to make me one. You got to make me one of these. He just enjoyed life. Yeah. He really did, and enjoyed people.
Good. How about you? We'll move right to you. I'm going to end up with Dick.
I just want to kind of echo his sentiments a little bit. Mike, by the way, used to refer to martinis as martoonies. And he always had a great sense of humor. But I'd just like to say in closing that being that Thanksgiving is literally right around the corner, a couple of days, I have a lot of things to be thankful for in my life, and most notably one of them, probably right up by the top of the list, was being able to play with Mike on a consistent basis for 7 to 8 years. And he taught me so much, maybe not directly, but it was subliminal at times. But he had that ability to make you learn, and you soaked in everything that he gave in every single performance, and it became a part of your being.
One thing I believed about drummers, that they have a 38-inch ride cymbal. And when the highlight of the tune is supposed to come up, you've got to hit it, and hit it so there's an ocean roar, so that you create an emotion. Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And many times Mike would give me or Dick or anyone else little cues, and you'd pick up on that. But a lot of times we just knew, right, Dick, instinctively what he was looking for. And especially in those medleys that we played, the Ellington medley, the Burt Bacharach stuff, sure, and so on and so forth. So it was quite an experience.
Dennis, last comments about Mike.
Well, I would have to say that the best times I had, was playing. He was just magnificent to play with. He was great to play with. But he did help me a lot as a teacher, and not just the lessons that we did. There were times that I'd call him with something, and he'd call me because there was a certain performance somewhere he thought was magnificent. And I thought that was great, that here, after everything he does, he's so much into it still, still enjoying it, right
Dick,
till the end.
give me the closer.
I think it was at the party that Tony was invited to, that I spoke to Mike about thinking about doing a CD. I said, Mike, I'm thinking about doing a CD. He goes, oh, I'll help you do it. Don't, whenever you want to do it. So in 08, we did Eclectic Nostalgia. And to work with him in the studio and to see him work, the studio was really his milieu. I mean, he was unreal in this. The studio is such an artificial setting. You get the headphones on, and it just, you're not playing to anybody. And I was in a little room by myself, with just so that you keep the bass sound here, and the piano was all covered up, and the drums were behind the big screen, and it was, it's just so unnatural. But he made it. He just fit right in, and it was amazing. And we did that one, and then a couple of years later we did the Christmas album, the December songs, and I think those are two of the great accomplishments in my life, and much due to Mike.
That's great. Singer Ann Hampton Calloway said about Mike, his hands could open your heart like a safe and steal all your secrets. Mike Renzi, whatever you're doing up there, make it good.